your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Welcome along to Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for joining us on this cold and frigid day. Jim Coyle sitting with you as always. Justin Kalen high atop the crew chief's box.
That's right.
Hope you're staying warm out there today because, my goodness gracious, it's going to be a cold one. Got to keep the heat up. And hope you guys are out trudging along and got your day off to a great start. Hope we can keep it going for you. Great show on tap as always. Chronic Hoosier will be along. We'll also talk to Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier. See what's going on in their world. But let's go see what's going on in yours right now, and we'll get to the headlines.
All right, here are your Daily Hoosier headlines for this 29th day of January 2019. Not a whole lot going on here yesterday as Indiana men's and women's swimming and diving sweeps Purdue over the weekend. Anthony Davis requested a trade yesterday, possibly setting up another NBA super team as L.A. has their eyes on Anthony Davis. No Big Ten games last night, but Northwestern, Maryland, Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Ohio State and Michigan all play tonight. Those are your Daily Hoosier headlines for this January 29th, 2019. For more information, go to thedailyhoosier.com.
Welcome back in. Man, oh my goodness, it is. That's Arctic cold outside. The Pacers took it on the chin last night from the Warriors.
They were Arctic cold.
Man. And then Duke was at Notre Dame. Not much of a game there, I don't think. I didn't see the end of it, but Duke was handily ahead.
They were up 18 at half.
Williamson and Barrett, 10 points each of the first 20 games. They were up 20. Last I saw. Zion goes up and there's a shot that he races off the backboard, basically. It was actually goaltending, though, to be honest with you.
Yep.
They didn't call it.
They didn't call it?
Did they?
I thought they did.
Did
yeah,
they
were
right?
reviewing it, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know they reviewed it. He's just a man-child, though.
Yeah.
He's a beast. The beast from the East. Keep us warm today. I hope you're rolling along. Let us know what's going on in your world. Keep us apprised, comments, questions. You can hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367. Make sure you like and follow us on Facebook. You can also find the show anytime on a replay if you can't catch us live at a myriad of places like Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, Google Podcast, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, if I didn't say that. You can sign up, register, and it'll just be sent to you. You don't have to worry about chasing it. That way you don't miss great interviews like with Don Fisher yesterday. Man, that one must have really resonated with a lot of people. I got a lot of comments on it.
It was a different Don Fisher.
Yes, it was.
He almost was defeated in a way.
Well, no,
maybe not.
I think he was more honest, is what he was. And here's the thing: Don Fisher works for Indiana University, basically. So you have to understand that I do not work for Indiana University, and I maintain a unbiased approach as to looking at things, and he does too. But I mean, there's only so much he can do. But he was just not sugarcoating much yesterday at all, and I think people really like that. That's the thing. Hoosier Nation, they're very frustrated right now. And they just want to hear somebody tell them the truth. That's all. No coach speak, no puff piece. Just spread the truth. And the truth is, this team is not as talented as a lot of people thought, including me. I thought Evan Fitzner would produce. I thought Justin Smith was going to produce. Thought a few other things. And I didn't think the injuries would be like they are. So there's just been a lot of things. But at the end of the day, they're just not as good. But the regression has got to be just strictly confidence. Because they've gotten worse, not better. Or they're playing worse, not better, I should say. So it's a ship they've got to right, but it's up to them to do that. I mean, everybody is just pounding on Archie. And it's time just to say, look, he's in his second season, halfway into his second season, and with one group of his own guys. It's obvious that the players from the Crean era just aren't buying in to what Archie's trying to do. Or they can't do what Archie's trying to do. I don't know which it is. But either way, it's not working. So you got to let him get his guys in here. He did not forget how to coach. He took Dayton to 2 Elite Eights with mucho less talent. He didn't forget how to coach. He's not like Billy Gillespie, who was never at one place more than 3 years. So what that means is he kept job hopping because he'd have just a little bit of success and people would buy into that. And then when he got to Kentucky, he was exposed that it was all smoke and mirrors.
Don Fisher said something yesterday that I really enjoyed because it's something I've been feeling for a while. He was talking about Archie Miller and just how none of this is his fault. I mean, you've got players not buying in. The players aren't going out there with the right attitude, the slow starts. I've saw it for a while. I don't know how this is Archie's issue.
Nothing more telling to me than what Don said, and I'm so grateful he brought that up. But when he asked about who's the gym rat, and you nailed it. I got to give I couldn't yesterday because we were in the middle of the interview, but while I was talking to Don, Justin was mouthing Al Durham, Al Durham, Al Durham.
I was spelling it with my arms, too, like the YMCA dance.
I was ignoring that. And then as soon as that's the name that came out of Don's mouth, that Al Durham is the only gym rat on that team. Not surprising he is. Surprising there's not more. Especially, it just... So that was a little surprising. Disappointing bit of information as well, to be honest with you. So there's that. So that's directly from the horse's mouth. But yeah, Archie Miller's getting a lot of grief. I assure you, the man did not forget how to coach. And another thing, and I have been guilty about this as well, is people thinking that he's not, and Don mentioned this, and about getting on players, about ripping them, and about doing this, and everybody's like, well, just do this and that. Well, as Don confessed, he goes, I promise you, we don't see it. He doesn't do it publicly. And I don't think that a public exhibition of it is entirely necessary. I think you can do things to send messages, like jerk them out of the game. But I mentioned something, it was just an example, when Justin Smith lost his shoe. It just aggravates the hell out of me that he was more concerned with his shoe than guarding his man at that moment. I don't understand that. That would not pop into my head. I would not think to leave my guy. Yeah. I would be aware that my shoe was off, but that would be it. Hell, I saw Anthony Davis that you just mentioned a minute ago. Not too long ago, lost a shoe. He made a couple trips up and down the court like that. Why? Because he was into the game that he was involved in, competing in. And I think that's the thing, the word compete. I don't think these guys are competing. There's no way you're competing when you lose a shoe and you're worried about the damn shoe instead of the guy your man who's at the basket. That's not competing. That's like, oh, I lost my shoe. Focus. That means there's no focus. You're not focused on the task at hand. Easily distracted.
Squirrel.
Where's my keys? Bring some keys. Bring some keys. There you go. Shotty bell, shotty bell, shotty bell. Will Ferrell, cat routine. But that's the thoughts that I had about that. You can let us know yours, 812-269-6367. Feel free to hit us up on the text line. Hope, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it was cool that Don mentioned that yesterday in the interview, that Archie does get on the players, because you don't always see that, or you rarely see it, to be honest. And I feel like maybe that's what has given off the impression that Archie's not doing a good job, Archie doesn't care, these narratives that we've heard along the way. But to hear that Archie does get on the team quite frequently, and Don's around the program a lot, so he sees it a lot, I think that should just help relax some people. Just relax.
Absolutely. Archie was on the radio show last night. We'll hear that here in a little while. Talked about a lot of things, and that's, wow. That's got to not be a lot of fun for him at the moment.
No.
But I don't know that he enjoys that stuff anyway. I know he doesn't. The public speaking, the deal, and all that. It's not. He's not bad about it, but it's not. He would rather not do it. It seems like.
What makes you say that?
I mean, like meeting with the media. A lot of people don't like having to do that. Especially right now. What do you think you're going to be asked? Ooh, Coach, what can you do to turn this around? What caused this digression? Why are these guys can't shoot? Why can they not hit free throw? Why? Man, that's your face every time. That's what you're going to hear. I mean, a lot of that. And it's making a tough job tougher, to be honest with you. Hoosier Nation's making a tough job a little tougher, to be honest with you. Take a breath, man. Pump the brakes, guys. Chill out. Bitching and moaning ain't making it better. As a matter of fact, you are actually making it worse. Do you think Indiana's the only team that's struggling right now?
No.
Look at Notre Dame, okay? Mike Brey, this is not his second season in South Bend. And I'm not getting on Mike Brey because Mike Brey can coach. Mike Brey's a good coach. I like Mike Brey. They've lost 7 of 8. 7 of 8. Well, that's Notre Dame, man. That ain't Indiana. Irrelevant. They've been successful. Really successful under Mike Brey. Stuff happens, man. But that's a guy that's been there for a while is my point. He's not in his first year. He's there. He's having a really bad season after being there for a long time. You got Archie Miller, who's barely into the job, who doesn't have his own guys, who 8 different players. You know how many scholarship players there are? 13. 8 of the 13 have missed at least one game with an injury. Many, multiple games. 8. That's 2/3 of your roster. It affects it. So, Hoosier Nation's got to take a breath, man.
Speaking of Notre Dame, did you see their mascot last night at halftime?
I did not.
He hit a full court putt. Now they do the putting across the floor.
Yeah,
hit the full court putt
into what?
Little hole. I guess it was like a box.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
There you go. What do I win?
I think you had to be in attendance.
Mentioned Anthony Davis. He's wanting traded, man.
Team up with LeBron.
Yeah, that's the word. That is the word. We'll certainly see. You know, we got a lot coming up on the show today. Like I said, Chronic Hoosiers here on the day. We'll also talk to Mike Schumann. Get your coach, text in, comments, 812-269-6367. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle, and we're back right after this. This is Jim Coyle, and I'm I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, joined now by the great Don Fisher, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers. Don, how are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
Great, great. I hope you had a great weekend.
I did.
That's always good to have.
I wouldn't call it great, though, when you lose your first game on Friday night. No.
Yeah, that's a bad way to start off, that's for certain. And that brings you've been calling basketball at Indiana for a long, long time. Everyone knows that. How hard is it when the team that you've got a lot of invested to, you're there all the time, and you have to be energetic for that? How hard is it when in the midst of a losing streak like this for you to be able to deliver like you do game in and game out?
Well, I mean, it's not hard in the sense that that the work is hard. I mean, it's a great job, and I look at it that way. But the hard part is understanding what's going on, and I think that's the hard part for everybody. It's the hard part for the coach. It's the hard part for the team. Everybody is wondering why this has happened and what's behind it, and there's no real answer to it. I mean, there's a myriad of answers.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, the problem is that the question is, how do you get it stopped? And without question, that's what Archie Miller, his coaching staff, and these players have to figure out. And right now, it is a real mystery. And I said that to Archie after the ball game on Friday night. I said, I'm not trying to be funny, but there's a real mystery with this team right now. And, of course, he went on to say that this ball club has embarrassed themselves. They've played poorly. There's no continuity with this basketball team. The start of the ball game against Michigan showed that, down 17-0, and it just never got better. And obviously it did at some point where they were able to come back a little bit, but you just never saw it. And against good teams, you just can't do that. We've seen that on and on again now here of late, and it's resulted in this team losing 6 straight ball games. It's a ball club that at one point everybody thought was a lock to be in the NCAA tournament and probably a very high seed, and they've gone away from all of that. All of those things have disappeared now, and now they're fighting for their NCAA life and just to stay relevant in the Big Ten Conference race at this juncture. And unfortunately, that's where this team finds itself, and I'm not quite sure how they dig themselves out, because this team has some obvious issues that have not been able to be solved. Obviously, number one being the fact that they can't shoot the ball from outside. There's no consistent outside scorer in this basketball team, and you've got to have more than one guy that can do that. And right now, I'm not sure we have anybody that can do it on a consistent basis. We've certainly seen that.
Yeah, when you can only attack on one front like Indiana can right now through the post, and these other teams are now packing it in because they're daring Indiana to shoot from outside, and that makes it a lot more difficult for Romeo to do what he had been doing, for Juwan to do what he had been doing, and it's showing itself. Indiana's been exposed to that, and I think some of these teams are taking advantage of that.
Well, and here's the other thing, and Archie alluded to this as well. This team has lost its confidence. There's no belief in this basketball team right now, and I say that in the sense of things getting turned around, or at least that's what it appears. This team, they can talk the talk, but they haven't walked the walk, and you've seen this ball club disintegrate in the sense of its confidence level. There's nobody that walks out there with an attitude at this juncture. When they walk out and they're introduced on the floor and stuff like that, you don't see the fire in the belly. And I mentioned this last week. That's the one thing that bothers me the most. We don't have an edge guy. We don't have a guy that's not afraid to get up into somebody's face and let them know that this is what you've got to do, and you've got to get better at it, and you've got to stop doing this or that, whatever the case may be. I mean, the only guy that's doing that is the coach. And this is college basketball. All basketball these days are the makeup of their team. The team owns it. That's just the way it is. And coaches, they have to enhance that. They have to nourish it. But if a team doesn't have that it factor or that edge factor or that fire in the belly factor, I don't know how you get that, because coaches can't manufacture it. The kids have to want to do that. They have to want to have it in their gut. And I don't see that. I don't see it from – the only player you see it from, just because he plays so hard, is Juwan Morgan. He's the only one in this basketball team on a consistent basis that you know night in and night out is going to go out and fight you. The rest of these guys have not done that, and it's going to be up to them to turn it around.
Yeah, and I mentioned something earlier that kind of really bothered me watching that game the other night because to me it went right to the core of what you just talked about when Justin Smith lost his shoe and instead of not worrying about that and staying on his man, and I don't mean to point one person out, that's not really fair to do, it's just an example, but he's fiddling around with trying to get his shoe and the guy is just putting a layup in and I'm like, man, I think if you're locked in to just competing, you're not going to worry about that, but that was kind of a embarrassing moment for him, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think I think there's been nothing but embarrassing moments of late for this basketball team, and I don't think Justin Smith is the prime example. I think you can point at everybody.
Right.
I don't see any fire in Romeo Langford, and I know that sounds sacrilegious, but you tell me if Romeo Langford looks like the same player you saw in high school.
Absolutely. No, he's just not, and I've talked about that. I don't know if it's because this is a different level. When you're in high school, especially Romeo Langford, you're always the best player on the floor, and that's not always the case now. He's playing against guys that are 2, 3, 4 years older than him that have been in these systems for all this time, and they know what they're doing. He's got a lot to learn. It doesn't matter how good he is. He's moving up to the Big Ten, and there's a lot to learn in that level.
There's no question. And Romeo, I don't know how significant the hand injury that he has is. I know he's tried to play without that brace on it, and that may be a factor in why he's struggling to shoot the basketball from outside, but he doesn't look like the same player. He doesn't look confident. I would never thought I would ever say that about this kid because he is such a talent, but he just doesn't look like the same player. And like I really believe the lack of a fiery leader on this basketball team is an issue. I don't think there's any question, especially now when things have gotten tough and at this juncture of the season when your season is sliding away and you're looking at it from the standpoint that we've got to beat somebody and we can't allow ourselves to get beat in this ball game. And I don't see that fire from anyone. And I know Juwan plays hard and all those kinds of things, but he is one of those guys. And I think I said this, and we did, and he said it on the talk show. He's not a guy that likes to yell and scream at people. He just doesn't do that. That's not the way he functions, and he doesn't like it himself. And like I said before, I just don't see that this team has that kind of a leader on it. And I think that's one of the big issues this ball club is suffering from right now.
Yeah, they could certainly use a dose of Michael Lewis or a player like that who would get in there and mix it up, and he'd mix it up with his own team if he had to.
Right, and the Dane Fifes and the great leaders that we've seen through the years in this ball club, in this program, the Joe Hillmans, the Quinn Buckners, those kinds of people, not afraid to be a hard-nosed teammate. And honestly, this team right now lacks that. I'm not sure that there's anybody on this ball club this year that can take that role. And at this juncture, everybody's been reticent to do so. And right now, like I said before, I think this is a ball club that's in flux. It's a ball club that's struggling. And the only people that can pull themselves out is this team, the players themselves, because the coaches can't make them do that. They've got to start believing once again, and I don't know how you get that turned around. And that's why I think we're all concerned. I think it's why this team at this juncture is really fighting itself. And until that is solved, I'm not sure anything's going to get changed.
Yeah, and there's a lot on social media which has gone rampant, but a lot of people complain that Archie's not demonstrative enough, that he needs to rip them and do this and do that. And I don't know that as vulnerable as they are seen right now.
Let me tell you something right now. Archie Miller is every bit as tough and ripping as Bob Knight was, but in a different way. He's just as tough. He is a guy that gets after him in practice. He gets after him in games. If you've ever seen him in a timeout, and we see it all the time, he is not soft on these kids. He is really after them, trying to get them to understand what they're supposed to be doing and how they've got to go about their business. This is on the team. This is not on Archie Miller, and people can criticize Archie all they want. That's part of the job. He's going to have to take it, and he does take it. But I'm telling you right now, this is on this basketball team, and it's on the players themselves. They're the owners of the team. They're the only ones who can change this.
I agree absolutely. That's what I was going to actually say is that I think that at a certain point, if you can't get yourself ready to play, then I don't think anybody in the world can do that for you. I mean, you either want it or you don't.
Right. You can't. I mean, and Archie does just like every other coach. I mean, he gets these kids fired up before the ball game and tries to get them to understand what they have to do. This is a guy who's had tremendous success as a head coach at Dayton. Took kids that were that weren't highly recruited or they weren't the top guys in the country and molded them into basketball team. This guy knows what he's doing. He does.
And he didn't forget how to coach all of a sudden either.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden, Archie Miller is not a guy that's going to just go down and not fighting, because that's what he is. He's a fighter. He grew up as a fighter. He's the smallest guy in his basketball teams, and there was nobody that you wanted to face on a game-in, game-out basis because of just how tenacious he was as a player. So, and that hasn't changed as a coach. But he can't make kids do the kinds of things that they need to do. This team, in my opinion, struggles with not having a gym rat. And I'm saying that because I've asked the questions. Who goes in and shoots all the time? The only one that I hear consistently named that's in the gym, working on a shot on a consistent basis when nobody else is there is Al Durham. Only one.
Justin nailed it, too.
Never happens. I'm simply saying the only guy, the only name I hear is Durham.
And that goes a long, long way. Don is back tonight on the Coach's Show with Coach Archie Miller, correct?
Yep, we have a show at 7:05 tonight. First show we've had in 3 weeks. So this losing streak with Michigan. Hopefully it ended with Michigan this past Friday night, because the Hoosiers have 2 more really tough road ball games coming up here this week against Rutgers on Wednesday, and then, of course, Michigan State on Saturday. So both those road tests are going to be very difficult to stop this losing skid unless Indiana starts playing the kind of basketball we know they're capable of.
Absolutely. Make sure you check out Don on the call Wednesday night right here, an hour before game time starts. But tonight, the Coach's Show as well with Archie Miller. Don, thank you so much. Have a great day and a great week.
All right, Jim, thank you.
You bet. Don Fisher, the voice of the Hoosiers, with us as always. Great to have Don along. That was actually from yesterday, of course, if you didn't know that, but we wanted to make sure the early morning listeners got to hear that. A lot to talk about. Archie Miller on his radio show last night. We'll have that next. Talk about Race Thompson, Deron Davis, things like that. But plenty more to get to. Chronic Hoosiers on the show today as well. Indiana Sports Beat. We're back right after this. This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. This hour of Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is brought to you by the good folks at Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving Southern Indiana since 19... Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. This cold and Arctic day. Chronic Hoosiers on the show today in the next hour. Talk to Mike Schumann as well. Looking forward to that. Make sure if you got comments, questions... 812-69-6367. Feel free to hit us up on that. Super Bowl is this week. I had forgotten completely about the Super Bowl. I've just been tied up with other things, and that's Sunday, man. Super Bowl Sunday.
Sure is.
I had things that I was supposed to be doing this weekend, and Kylie has never played soccer in Louisville, believe it or not. This weekend, of course, Saturday and Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah, except for I was supposed to be doing stuff, so that's out, but that's nice. At least it won't be Arctic. Isn't this supposed to be back up to like the 50s?
Yeah, it's supposed to warm up.
This is, it's nuts.
It's one of the craziest winters I can remember.
Oh, it's
back and forth.
Yeah, see, today is what, Tuesday?
Yep.
So, yeah, by Sunday, 50. Oh, my God. Monday, 63.
Wow.
This is nuts.
Hang in there, folks. Hang in there.
Nuts. And then you see those single digits. Yeah, that's not fun. But Super Bowl Sunday coming up. Who you like? Who does St. Louis like? Do they like the team, the Rams, the team that spurned them and left and now is in the Super Bowl? Or do they want the Pats who beat the St. Louis Rams the only time they made the Super Bowl? Not the only time. They won it once, didn't they?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
That's an interesting question, though, in terms of Who does St. Louis rooting for?
Well, I'll tell you what's fun. I grew up a Rams fan, but when they moved to St. Louis, I lost all interest. I don't know why, but I did. They were gone from me. I'm like, I can't get into the St. Louis Rams. Just couldn't do it. Never did. I'm back on it now. Let's go Rams.
You think they got a shot?
Of course they got a shot. They're in the Super Bowl, but I don't think they could beat Belichick and Brady. But we'll see. It's not that they're not unbeatable.
The Patriots are only 2.5-point favorite.
That's irrelevant.
True.
I don't care what the spread is. They're just you got Bill Belichick. You're giving him 2 weeks. Now the Rams have a great offense. If they can protect that quarterback, we'll see. It ought to be exciting.
There's a Hoosier on the Rams.
Oh yeah, lineman.
Not Dan Feeney. He's with the Chargers.
Yep. Sammy talked about him. Sammy Jacobs when he was on yesterday. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's one on the Chargers, but yeah, there's one on the Rams, and it's a lineman, and I can't remember his name. Archie had his radio show last night. Talked about a lot of things.
Saffold.
Yes, there you go. But Race Thompson, the possibility of seeing him back, Deron Davis, different things.
Yeah, he touched on, first thing first, he touched on the losing streak and just how they are trying to snap out of that. Let's hear what he had to say.
Going through a very difficult time as a group, winning and losing obviously, shakes you a little bit, but really in all reality, you're not as good as you probably were at your highest moments, and you're probably not as bad as you really think you are right now. And a lot of it's in between the head. And, so much of the game of basketball is confidence, and so much of your confidence is what you're thinking about all the time. And that's what we're really trying to hammer home right now. An opportunity on Wednesday to play that game, but let's have our attitudes in the right. Let's have the competitive spirit that we've had for so much of our season back in check. And if you do that and you're consumed with, being coached and doing whatever you can to help the team win, you're going to have a much better chance of winning the game rather than going through sort of the funk. It's the funky part of what basketball is about. It's not always the physical. You run a lot harder when you feel good about yourself. You run and jump a lot higher, when you're concentrating on other things. And so much of it is when you're in your own head and you have more than a couple guys in their own head, your team just gets paralyzed by it. And we're in the midst of that. We're also, in a very, very tough stretch. We're heading to basically play this week, and we'll have 7 of our first 11 games in the league on the road. And in this league this year, that's a daunting task for anybody. Right. And you book in the Michigans and the Purdues and some of the teams that we've had to play. I mean, you're playing against top 15, top 10 teams. And you're going to have to be really, really ready and really good to be able to win in that environment. I think, what we've had at times has been, a little bit of an edge about us. But for whatever it's been, the grit and the fight in some of our great wins, which were very bleak at times during the game. It wasn't like we were blowing teams out. Right. I mean, we would find a way to hang in and do something. And, that has left us just a little bit. And you can get things back. It's hard. It's hard. You can lose them faster than you can get them back at times. And we have to just continue to work to get those things back for our group. And the Big Ten season is so long. There's so many more games to be played. I mean, the back half of the league obviously comes back around where, maybe we could play a couple at home, and next thing you know, 1 turns to 2. That's your hope is. But we're working towards that.
Coach.
Certainly, they can get it back. The back half of the schedule, a little bit more favorable than the front half. 6 of 9 games will be at home instead of on the road, as that had been the case. But, as you saw against Michigan, home court advantage is not doing much for Indiana this year.
No.
Until they get things turned around, which better be soon. Well, I'm not expecting a run here. But I don't know how much it would take for them to get into the tournament. They've got some good wins that actually keep getting better. The win over Marquette by 23, that's a top 10 team now. Yeah. The win over Louisville, that's a top 15 team now. That's very helpful on their resume. Yeah. I really wish they'd have won that Arkansas game. golly.
Oh, he fell off the wagon.
Who, Arkansas?
They're horrible.
They were never on the wagon. That's why you really needed to have won that game. Of course, it didn't hurt you a ton because it's on the road, but it would have been a nice little road win. But, yeah, they've got to get it together. And their first opportunities tomorrow night. Yeah. They travel to Rutgers up to Piscataway. And this is not your grandpa's Rutgers, because this is not your grandpa's Big Ten. Hell, Rutgers beat Ohio State. Now, Ohio State's a mid-level Big Ten team, but a mid-level Big Ten team this year is dangerous. Everybody's beating everybody.
Yeah. And that's not going to stop.
Well, hell no, it's not going to stop. Purdue's climbing. Purdue's the fastest improving team in the conference right now. No doubt to me. And they're becoming they're climbing.
I think if there is one positive from this situation, it's the fact that Archie has been through something like this before. Don actually asked him last night on the coach's show what it's been like in the past when he's had a situation like this.
Unfortunately, we endured a very similar December or January, almost identical, type of a non-conference slate. Very well, start off conference play, and you end up being, 1-5 and not winning a game in the month of January. And that team found a way. They were older. We had a lot of guys contributing, and amongst the players, they really took it upon themselves to step away from everything and create more of a positive practice environment, work hard, stay with it, see what happens, and kind of knew that at some point in time you get one win, and one win's lo and behold, it just lifted the weight of the world off your back. You felt better about yourself, and you were able to go on the road for a second one and win it. And then you went on the road again, and you found a way to win the third one, 4, 5, and 6, and all of a sudden you were right back in the mix. And that team, ironically, was dead in the rights on February 1st, and in March we're 40 minutes from a Final Four. It can happen. It takes an unbelievable commitment level. It takes players, obviously, really, really embracing, the fight and finding a way to do it together and enjoy it while you're doing it together. And, we're the only ones that can stop it. That's what we figured out. Like, it's not just going to happen. You're going to have to do it, and we're going to have to recreate ourselves here a little bit. And that team did, and ended up getting in the tournament and ended up beating Ohio State on a buzzer shot. Ended up winning it by 1 point at the buzzer to Syracuse. And then all of a sudden, at that point in time, it was a train that was, moving like nothing could stop it. So you just saw guys with no confidence, and then you had a group that was unbeatable. And that's the beauty of team sports. It's the beauty of the game in general. It has little to do with the basketball when things are going bad. It has a lot more to do with the resolve and the environment that you create. And, we've got to find a way to do that to ourselves.
Yeah, it's up to you, man. It's up to each individual to be the man. I mean, you've got to decide. And Al Durham is the one. Well, Don mentioned that Juwan Morgan comes every game, and he does. He's just not very demonstrative, but he plays every game. I mean, he's just, it's like he brings his lunchbox, comes to work, hard hat, and goes to work. Al Durham, same way. Maybe the hardest working guy on that team. He wants to play. You can tell he wants to play.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can tell with Al when he's on the floor that he's a gym rat.
Oh, he wants to play. Yeah. He's just a sophomore. That's good to see out of him. He's going to be a good older player. He's heady. He wants to play. He's trying. He's trying. There is no question to Al Durham's effort.
Well, and that's the thing. He's a good example for all the younger players, and not just the freshmen now, but the freshmen that'll be coming in next year. They can look at a guy like Al Durham and see, well, this guy's working hard. This guy's getting a lot of playing time. This guy's a pretty big part of our team. Maybe I should try to replicate what he's doing.
Well, that's the hope, and certainly the hope that they don't replicate off of a few others.
Yeah. True.
Because it's not the case across the board, unfortunately. But he definitely is a bright spot.
Yeah, and I think Don said it best yesterday when he was talking in that interview. He was talking The players are the owners of the team. The players are the only ones that can get in the right mindset and turn this thing around.
Yeah.
And they've got to get in that mindset.
I mean, Archie can do so much.
Right.
I mean, with this team, embarrassing them and ripping them in public, it's just not going to do anything for them.
They're embarrassed enough by the way they've played on the floor.
I don't know that they are.
Well, they should be.
I understand that, but that's the thing. I don't know that they are. Because embarrassment usually is self-motivating. Not really seeing that.
Doesn't have to be self-motivating, though. I mean, it can at the same
Doesn't
time.
have
if you're
to be, but it would be
embarrassed-
nice if it is.
If you're embarrassed, it can also tear you down.
It would be nice if it was self-motivating to get you out of that.
Oh, I agree.
But some of us are dumb and don't wake up. But yeah, they've got to push themselves. I mean, the coaches can do so much. When you get on the floor, the coach he can't play for you. He can't be motivated for you. He can't be fired up for you. He can't hustle for you. He can't care for you. All they can do is give them the tools, provide them the opportunity, which I think is being done. This is just it's a hodgepodge of problems.
Yeah. One way to put it.
No one is different. You've got a whole bunch of things: the injuries, the youth, the inexperience. Some of these guys are not grasping things as easily as they should, as expected. So you couple that with the injuries, you couple that with not having the talent that people thought that they had, that's going to make life rough, and it has. And it's not going to change until the personnel changes. There's this, in my mind, there's no doubt. I don't, until the personnel changes, and not necessarily just all changes, but some of that change is sitting on the bench. They're just not there yet. Yep. There's some guys that are going to have to grow up quick. Jake Forrester, Clifton Moore, if he wants to be a part of this team, he's got a great opportunity right now to work his butt off and try to get a piece of it. Jake Forrester, the same with him. Demezy Anderson, the same with him. Demezy Anderson apparently has defensive liabilities. If he was hitting shots, it wouldn't matter, though. I got news for you. If he could knock down 3-4 long balls, nobody caring about his defense. He'll pick up the slack somewhere.
You can allow 8 points when you're scoring 12 yourself.
Well, I guess. Net gain of 4.
Better than a -4.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, make sure you like or follow us on Facebook. You can follow the show podcast after the rebroadcast on Apple Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, thedailyhoosier.com. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Jim Coyle, ISB, for complete game updates and things of the nature. Feel free to hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367. Let us know thoughts, comments, questions for Chronic Hoosiers coming up in the next hour. Mike Schumann will be here from the Daily Hoosier. Indiana's taking on Rutgers tomorrow night up in Piscataway, New Jersey, as they try to break this 6-game losing streak and do it on the road. It would be a hell of a win for Indiana after losing 6 straight to do something on the road on top of that. It's going to be a very interesting game, that's for certain. And you can listen to that game right here, of course, on Big X Sports Radio. Don Fisher will be on the call. That game's at 7, so the pregame will start at 6 o'clock.
I mean, we got an early game for once?
Well, most of them have been. They've only had 2 late games this year.
That's true.
So, yeah, most of them have been.
Rutgers and Indiana have the exact same Big Ten record.
This season?
Yeah. 3-6.
That, wow. And Indiana started out 3-0.
Yeah.
I bet you Rutgers didn't. It's going to be a difficult season. It already is. It's difficult for people to understand because the expectations were they were too high. Yeah. You got to be honest, they were just too high. And it's hard not to because you get Archie Miller in last year, you get a new coach, so you go through a very, very difficult season, a 16-15 season, no postseason play. You're like, okay, you land Romeo, like, oh, here we go. Yeah, and then fizzle. But they were 16-15 last year, guys. They're better off than they were last year.
Unless they keep losing.
But as of right now, they're better off than they were a year ago. How many superstars? They only added one big-time player, Romeo. Jerome Hunter didn't get to play. Race Thompson didn't get to play.
I think that Jerome Hunter injury is, looking back, none of us will ever know how big that was, but I think that absolutely killed this team.
I think you're absolutely right. I think it's one of the things that I think it's one of the. Like I said earlier, it's a bunch of stuff that came together. That's a major one. That's a big one. A very, very big one. I agree with you. Absolutely. We got a lot more coming up. Chronic Hoosiers on the show. Mike Schumann on Indiana Sports Beat. We're back right after this. Stay tuned. This is Jim Boyle, and I'm out on the road covering the Hoosiers. You can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat.
We're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Hey, welcome along, Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for joining us. Hope your day's off to a good one. A little warmer than it seems to be outside. We'll get it going here in a second, though. Thanks a lot for joining us. Jim Coyle sitting in with you. Justin Kalen high atop the crew chief's box, as always.
That's right.
Got another great show on tap for you today. Chronic Hoosier will be along. We'll talk to Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier as well. But before we do that, let's get to the headlines with Justin.
All right, here are your Daily Hoosier headlines on this 29th day of January 2019. Indiana men's and women's swimming and diving sweeps Purdue over the weekend. Anthony Davis has requested a trade from the New Orleans Pelicans, trying to form another super team and join LeBron out in L.A. And no Big Ten games last night, but Northwestern, Maryland, Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Ohio State, Michigan all play tonight. Those are your Daily Hoosier headlines for this 29th day of January. For more information, go to thedailyhoosier.com.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot again for joining us. My goodness, it's cold outside. Make sure you like or follow us on Facebook. You can find Indiana Sports Beat rebroadcast if you can't catch us live on Apple Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, thedailyhoosier.com as well. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB. Complete coverage of the Hoosiers. Game updates. Looking forward to talking to Chronic today. Indiana takes on Rutgers tomorrow night as they try to get off the snide and a 6-game losing streak that has spread like a contagion, it seems like, throughout this team. Is there's just no fun in Mudville. They all look depressed, lethargic. Hopefully they can regroup and bounce back. A lot going on this weekend. Super Bowl weekend, Super Bowl Sunday. Pats and the Rams. You got your big party planned, ready to go?
I do not. No, I was actually talking to one of my buddies yesterday about, hey, man, I think you should host a Super Bowl party.
Yeah, me either.
He wasn't having it.
I forgot. I forgot all about it. I'm like, oh, my gosh, it's a Super Bowl. Well, I guess that means you're having one.
We did the whole restaurant thing last year, and that's just so overrated. Go out to a restaurant.
For the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, unless it's Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, of course.
Now we're talking. I'm not going to say the name of where we went last year because they're not a sponsor, but
as a matter of fact,
could go to Bubba's.
You know what? That's
not a bad idea.
Meet me at Bubba's. I'm going to have to get there first, man. It's going to be a packed capacity crowd. Holy smokes. There's no better place. You got wall-to-wall TVs.
Surely they'll put it on every TV, too, I imagine.
Well, you've got 50-something of them. I'm sure they'll leave some viewing for other people.
Nah. They'll be fine.
But, yeah, who you like in that game?
Got to go Patriots.
Nope. Rams.
I mean, I'm hoping you're right. I'd rather see the Rams win. I'm over the whole Patriots thing. Plus, if the Patriots win, they actually tie the Steelers for the most Super Bowls of all time. So, got a little extra rooting interest on the Rams.
How many does the Steelers have?
6. Patriots at 5.
Wow. About to catch the big boys. Thing is, they've done it in a shorter time frame.
Way shorter.
Yeah, this has just been what you call a dynasty. I mean, there's nothing less than that.
Yeah.
Coach Archie Miller was on the his radio show last night as the Hoosiers prepare to travel to Piscataway, New Jersey, take on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Normally, that would be a breath of relief.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in the midst of a 6-game losing streak. Unfortunately, in the Big Ten this year, there are no relief stops. Rutgers has already beaten teams like Ohio State at home. So, again, no pushover. And then on the heels of that, you got Michigan State waiting for you.
Yeah.
At Michigan State.
Yeah, Archie was asked last night about the confidence of his team and how he has to go about reestablishing that confidence.
For the streak.
I always look back on things when things are going well in terms of as a player. What would I feel like if I was going through this as a player? What would I want from my coaches? And I would want more opportunity to play and practice. I would want to work my way through it as a player. Play, situations where I'm competing 5-on-5 or you're playing 1-on-1. You're doing a lot more of less drill work, so to speak, fundamentals, and a little bit more of, hey, let me get my confidence going here about working hard against 1-on-1 or doing some things like that where you can engage the guys and watch the guys compete, And as a player, I think that was something that always helped me. It was less about talking. It was always more about, hey, let's do it. Let me do it. Let me get some opportunities in practice to do more of this, to prove myself, that I'm getting better, feel better about myself. That when I got in the game, I felt good I can make the plays. And we're going to have to bring that to the forefront here as we finish up January, as we head to February. Can our practice environment be as good as it was in October and November when everyone was trying to establish who they were and our team was trying to establish what we wanted to do? So much of the season can take away from the process of becoming a great team and a team that has purpose. And, I think right now the purpose, what's the purpose? What are we working towards? What is this about? And some guys got to step up and play, obviously, but we have to have a better environment than when we leave the gym. Guys understand, I got the job done today. I did well.
Speaking of leaving the gym, who doesn't leave the gym early? Who stays and does extra? Who's working harder? Who's the gym rat? As we spoke to Don Fisher yesterday, that he said that's one of the problems with this team. Doesn't really have very many gym rats. Matter of fact, there was only one that he put into that category, and that was Al Durham. I mean, it makes sense because you watch Al Durham play. Al's trying. Al's giving effort every time. I have no complaints with Al Durham. I wish he could hit 7 threes a game, but, hey.
Got to take your two.
No one else can either. So,
and it's funny you bring that up because Don actually went on to ask Archie about that very same thing in the show last night about gym rats and who do you have that's gym rats.
Of them gym rats?
We have a lot of guys that stay after, work before, come in on the off days, on the weekends, and get shots. It's not a lack of not wanting to be in the gym or whatever. They do their part in terms of the physical stuff that we need to do extra to stay healthy. And just after practice today, whether it's Robert shooting free throws, Justin Smith shooting 3-point shots, working on some of the shots he gets in the games that he's not making, or Al Durham staying after. I mean, we constantly have a bunch of guys in the gym. Either working at it or just staying longer, which is a good thing. But you got to want to be there. You got to want to be there right now, because if you don't want to be there right now, that's a bad sign.
So, in talking about free throws, at this level, this is not. I don't know that this is a mechanical thing. It's not mechanics. So I don't know if you shoot 1 million free throws. I don't know how much that helps you, because if it's not mechanics, it's mental. I don't know. How do you get past the mental part of this? That's the question, obviously. The $64,000 question that has to be resolved, because they never got out of this free throw shooting funk. It looked like it, and I remember talking about it. I'm like, wait a minute, don't get excited, folks. There were 2 games where they were like almost perfect, but both of those games, 2 guys shooting free throws almost perfectly. So it was not spread out through the team, and this team is just a bag of mysteries. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't get the free throw thing. I can't. I don't understand that. Not at this level. Not across the board. Not everybody. This happened last year. Guys not hitting. What's the deal? It's a weird thing. That's a weird dynamic, man.
Can't hit a free throw, can't hit open threes.
Well,
Can't shoot.
Not hitting the open threes is a detriment, but not hitting free throws is not acceptable.
Yeah.
That's why they're free throws. Opportunity for points. And when you're shooting 50%, you're losing a lot on the floor, leaving a lot of cards on the table, a lot of money on the table. Got a great show today. Chronic Hoosiers on board. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier will be here as well. Looking forward to talking to Chronic. What?
I could just hear him when I call him.
Yeah, he's going to be quite ready.
He is. He does not like bad basketball.
Well,
it's one thing he's really passionate about.
And, Race Thompson, I think Archie did not talk about it, Race. I wonder if
he did. We'll play it tomorrow.
Getting him back is going to be important. It gives them another body. It gives them a fresh body. Maybe it gives them somebody that he's been sitting so long and he wants to play that he'll have some inspired play. Maybe that motivates this team. I don't know. But I know it needs something.
Yeah.
Joker texted in. I forgot to read that one. Where did that go? Joker texted, I would have to say they have to win 7 more to get to a 10-10 in the conference play to get to NCAA, in his opinion. 10-10. Does 10-10 in the conference get them into the Big Ten tournament? Normally I'd say no, but this is not your grandpa's Big Ten, like I said. So 10-10 in this Big Ten, that's getting something done. And then you add in the wins that they have over number 10 Marquette, number 15 Louisville, maybe just enough. I mean, they can still get in there.
I can't buy that, though, because to go 10-10, they've got to go 7-4 the rest of the way. That's, at this point, seems impossible.
At this point, yes. At this point, it does. But they've got 6 out of their last 9 games at home. They have an opportunity tomorrow night to win up in Piscataway, New Jersey.
I think tomorrow tells us a lot.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult because even if they split these games, they get the win at Rutgers. That leaves them with 5 more wins or 6 more wins they have to get. Well, that means they'd have to win every home game. I'm pretty certain that Michigan State is in that home lineup. That's going to be a very, very difficult one. I know Purdue's in that home lineup. There are some they're all difficult, but there are some very difficult ones in there. We got to take a break. Chronic Hoosiers coming up next. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat back with more right after this. This is Jim Coyle, and I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers. You can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812.
For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leaders, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington.
And that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and
This
Jay
hour is
Reynolds
brought to you
take
by
care of
Sweetland
your
Waste and
family.
Removal
Just off of
Service, a
565
homegrown company
609
serving Southern
South
Indiana since
Avenue in Sellersburg.
1995.
812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
All my friends know the low rider.
And he's with us now, our own low rider, Chronic Hoosier. Chronic, how are you, my brother?
Man, it's a cold week in Bloomington. I'm just going to leave it at that. Dark and cold.
I got a cocoa heart. Cocoa death. It is chilly outside. It's kind of like I use basketball right now, a little cold. Hopefully they can get the heat turned on and get out of this funk they're in, man. A 6-game losing streak. But and the more I think about it, we kind of got sucked in a little bit. They're just not quite as good as we thought they were. You add in the injuries and it's an easy recipe for what we have right now, but I think the thing that's getting people, Chronic, is a lot of people don't either they're not seeing a perceived effort, which I'm not sure that that's true or not. I can't say, but it sure seems that way, and that seems to rub people the wrong way a lot. But it's easy to find things wrong when you lose 6 in a row.
No, unquestionably, and I think we're almost getting into a chicken or the egg argument right now when you look at what's caused this slump that the Hoosiers find themselves in. It's very clearly a crisis of confidence right now. There is very little confidence evident in the way they're playing basketball. You heard Archie say it. First words out of his mouth at his press conference. This team is soft, and this team is playing scared, and it's a dangerous combination. And you throw it all into the mix. You add in some injuries. You add in, a heavy reliance on underclassmen. And then you find yourselves the loser of 6 straight, getting ready to go on the road tomorrow, and then come back and go play in one of the toughest gyms in the nation on this weekend at Michigan State. It's a dangerous spot right now for the Hoosiers. It's a very, very dangerous spot. I think when you look at the without getting too terribly deep into the psyche of these guys, there's they're shook right now. There's clearly something going on between the ears. You see it reflected, pretty much in every facet of the game. But, look at a 55% free throw percentage against Michigan. I mean, 55, you're in Shaq territory. As a team, you're shooting on par with one of the most infamous, awful free throw shooters ever.
Shaqlicious!
Ever.
Yeah, it's, that's funny. Shaqlicious. That's bad.
But you know what, though? I mean, I think it's a telling stat, because this is something that these guys have done tens, if not hundreds of thousands of times over their lives.
I was
these
just
guys
talking about
shoot free throws. This is something that is indicative of something else going on in their heads right now. I've said it 100 times. I'll say it 1,000 more because it's true. This is like putting. It really is. The muscle mechanics are there. It's the ways in which your mind gets in between what you're trying to do and what the body actually.
Great analogy.
And
that's the best analogy I've heard yet on this. That is, putting is so mental, and that's what I was just talking about that before we came on. That the free throws, I said, it's not mechanical. Their problems are not mechanical. Shaq's a great example that you brought up, because his was mechanical. He had some mechanical and just terrible. These guys are not mechanically flawed, so that leaves one place, and that's between the ears. I agree 1,000%, and I don't know what that is and could be, because they shoot 1,000 free throws in practice. It's not, everybody keeps saying, well, teach them to shoot free throws. They don't know how to shoot them. It's something's going on. You're exactly right. And how do they fix that? Stop that, because if they don't, they're already on the backside of missing the tournament. It's going to be a struggle to make it now. So just finishing the season on a strong run with a possibility of making the tournament, because they do have 6 out of their last 9 games at home, it's still a possibility, and you can't just throw in the towel. But they've got to make changes. They've got to make them right now. They have to win at Rutgers for there to be any chance of a turnaround, in my mind.
This is where it gets particularly challenging, I think, for the staff right now, because we start to get into some of these issues with the player's psyche. You get into the individuality of each of them. Not everybody's going to respond the same way. I've been wondering for a while now if some of the buttons that Archie's been using has become acclimated to using in practice. It may work on some. It may well have an opposite or a different effect on others. That just in general. But when you get into stuff like what's going on now, it just makes it that much more difficult to really to pinpoint, the ways in which you can get it. I think more than anything, it's going to take somebody stepping up. Somebody's going to have to lead this team out. I don't think the staff necessarily is going to be able to do this on their own. When you really comprehend where they are at this point, what's at stake. I can't imagine I ever would have said that a mid-Big Ten game in Piscataway was really going to be a pivotal point where they could absolutely turn a season. But here we are. I mean, honestly, this is one of those games that they cannot afford to lose if they want to maintain any hopes of playing an NCAA tournament, and especially staying out of the Wednesday bracket in the Big Ten tournament, for that matter. They've gone from the top third of the league to now they find themselves right at the precipice of the bottom third. There's worse teams in the league than Illinois, at least as far as the win-loss column. Statistically, than Rutgers in terms of win-loss column, being Illinois and Penn State. But, efficiency-wise, Rutgers is going to present them the best chance they have left throughout the remainder of the season. So even though it's a road game, even though Rutgers is semi-ascendant, if that's even such a thing, it's a must-win if these guys are going to find a way to salvage something. And I think it's going to have to come from somebody, probably not named Juwan Morgan. From what we've seen this year, Juwan has been pretty steady in his leadership for the most part. The problem is those shoulders are only so broad. I mean, he can only lift up so many guys. It's going to have to create a spark in some other players. That's going to have to ignite some other guys. There's got to be some synergy for him, and it's going to have to happen organically within the locker room if this thing's going to have a chance.
Yeah, one thing we talked about, this team, I talked to Don Fisher about it yesterday, they don't seem to have a leader. No one is stepping up to lead the team, not just to lead them on the court, but lead them mentally to be that guy that's not the coach and that pulls them together. And he talked about Juwan Morgan is just not a yeller or that kind of a guy, but he tries to lead in a different way. But this this team doesn't have someone who's just really grabbing them and trying to wake them up. I mean, Al Durham may be kind of close to that or trying to get to that, but he's a sophomore. And I talked about Al earlier. Al's one of those guys that he's a guy, I don't think you could question his effort this entire season. He has really played every game in. He tries. I don't ever see him trying to do anything but really put forth a great effort. And Don mentioned him as being probably the only gym rat on this team from the conversations he's had, that Al's the guy that goes in and works harder than the other guys, that is being close to being a gym rat that this team has.
No, I think that's spot on right now, and I think when you look at the composition, the overall makeup of this roster, there is absolutely a lack of leadership, but part of that's just baked into the actual roster. When you look at the way that this team ended up becoming what it is now, I mean, really going back to to Juwan Morgan's recruiting class, with him, Thomas Bryant, OG Anunoby, that was on the heels of a class that had a couple of high-level guards in Rob Johnson and James Blackman Jr. But since then, the only guard that's come in that's now an upperclassman is Devontae Green, who's currently sitting in suspension for not being able to maintain the team standards. So in the backcourt, at least, that's your leadership baked in right now as it stands. And it's putting all the other onus on Al Durham, on Rob Tennessee. There's nobody left to turn to when it comes to that part of the locker room, the backcourt, the guards, to really look towards. I mean, your one guy is sitting in street clothes at home on a suspension. You know, Curtis Jones was part of that class. He transferred out. There's very much a leadership vacuum that's already inherent in this team and the way it's constructed, the imbalance of the roster. We knew it was going to be a really, really young team, but just seeing now how detrimental that's been, is you got these guys who have never found themselves in this position before. You know, Al Durham, I think it's apparent the way he plays. He's trying really, really hard. You see Al, you know, he's been pretty consistently invested on the defensive end. You know, I still think at this point in the season he's trying to find out what his role is on the offensive end. But when you look at the way this team has slumped of late, I think it's been most apparent defensively. And Al seems to have been engaged pretty much throughout it. At the end of the day, too, there's a certain ceiling that, you know, this is going to be the maximum of Al's potential. And I think he's still got, you know, there's more headroom above him as it stands. But when you look, what was Al really likely going to give you at this point in his career as a sophomore? I mean, I don't think anybody ever in a million years anticipated that Al Durham would be your team leader halfway through his sophomore season. I don't think that's fair to ask of him. You know, I'm not lowering the bar, but let's just accept it for what it is. Rob Tennessee, I think he's going to be a tremendous point guard for IU over the course of his career. I don't think a lot of people would have pegged him as a starting point guard on a Power 5 team coming straight out of high school. But that's the role he's been thrust into, and he's doing his best there. You know, those are two guys in a group of many. But it's just a couple of examples, I think, where in absolutely critical play as you look at where IU struggling in the backcourt to be able to knock down shots, convert at the rim. You know, these guys are just, it was already going to be an uphill battle for them, but when you throw in a crisis of confidence like this, they don't know who they're supposed to turn to, who's lifting them up. There's really nobody else there. I mean, like I said, you know, the one guy that should be there, he's in street clothes right now, so it speaks volumes about how we got where we are, I suppose.
Well, the $64,000 question is, these teams have they've seen a good portion of Indiana's season and watching Romeo do what he was doing and able to do, and the work that Indiana was getting done in the paint, but not from the perimeter. So everyone is backed off and packed her down low, and they're shutting these passing lanes down, shutting the driving lanes down. And with Indiana's inability to knock down shots, it's made them a one-trick pony and not a very good one-trick. And so what do they do to fix this if they're not shooting the ball? How can they alleviate having the paint all packed, bogged up when they can't knock down shots? I don't know how they're going to get around that.
You know, at the end of the day, you have no control over how the other team schemes against you, and this is an incredibly well-scouted league. You know, everybody basically plays, especially once you reach this point in the year, your playbook's wide open. I mean, you're playing cards with your hands up. Everybody knows what you're working with here. And there's some damn good coaches in this league. So, you know, I think it's pretty I think it's pretty obvious what teams are doing and why they're doing it against Indiana. You're not going to stop them. The only way you're going to stop them is either, Juwan Morgan's just going to continue to get buckets through triple teams. Romeo's going to continue to have to cut through an incredibly crowded paint, or other guys are going to have to step up and start knocking down some outside shots in order to create some space right now. Because that's all teams are doing, is taking away space on Indiana inside, which is the only place they seem capable of scoring right now. But I think at the end of the day, any turnaround for this team is going to have to start on the defensive end. I mean, you look at the Northwestern game, for as much as they struggled at times, particularly in that middle third of the game, the thing that absolutely beat them was their inability to defend. You got a guy, a scrub, comes off the bench and fouls out, and what do you have, like 6 points on the year? And the kid goes off for $1 million. I mean, just absolutely unchecked, even after he was clearly on fire, still somehow getting lost in defensive rotations. I mean, that's in no universe is that in any way acceptable when you're dealing with a guy like Falzone. But, they're going to have to defend. It's going to have to carry, even when the offense isn't clicking to start the games, especially, they have to defend at a high level. That's the only thing that this team can control right now is their effort. And it cannot be wavering on the defensive end. They're going to have to rededicate themselves to it. Again, I hate to be a broken record. We've said it before. If defending hard was easy, if defending well was easy, everybody would do it. But the fact of the matter is, it's not. And I do think that the defense has a very measurable role on this team's offensive output. And in a couple of regards, they're not getting transition buckets right now, which they absolutely have to have in order to compensate for the lack of outside shooting. But they cannot allow, tough defense to take their legs away from them to the point that the offense grinds to a halt. So they're going to have to find a balance in between where they can get some stops, they can get out and transition a little bit, but they can also find a way to keep themselves competitive even when the shot isn't falling and until somebody's able to start warming it up.
Yeah, they've got to get their mojo back in some form or fashion. They've got to either fire themselves up or something, but they've got to snap out of this, and nobody can do this for them. A lot of people complain that Archie is not demonstrative enough. He needs to pull guys out and rip them, and I've said that, hey, pull them out, just run the walk-ons in and whatever, but I don't know that you reach these guys like that. I really don't. I'm so befuddled by some of the stuff that I've seen. I'm kind of clueless. I'm like, I don't know what you do. Obviously, Archie can't get it done. Who the hell am I to think that I know?
I'll tell you what. I'm about at the end of my rope when it comes to IU fans and some of their Archie commentary right now.
That's
I honest to goodness, laying it all out there. We're a year and a half into this guy's career here. Not making excuses, but let's just call a spade a spade. He's trying to cook with some stuff that he didn't necessarily go out and put together. He's totally trying to install an entirely different type of team here, one that's supposed to be defensive first, one that plays smart basketball. When you look at everything that he's brought to the table, I think by and large most fans agreed wholeheartedly that was going to be the recipe for fixing what was wrong with IU at the time that the program decided to make the change. And to think anything has changed in the last year and a half, I'm sorry, I'm just not buying it. Not only am I not buying it, look in the mirror. I mean, what's the problem with this team right now? He doesn't have the right pieces. Archie needs some guys that can score the basketball. Archie needs some guys that can show up night in, night out, and be ready to fight. I mean, he needs some dogs on this team in the worst way.
Michael Lewis, Dane Fife, those kinds of guys.
Oh, man, and if anybody thinks that the sky is falling, pants on fire fan base is what he needs in order to get to where he's trying to go.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, but just cash me out on all of that. Keep it out of my timeline. Because I'm tired of hearing it, and honestly, for all these real fans, be mindful of what impression you're leaving on some of these kids, the way you respond to a little bit of adversity. Don't get me wrong. It's who's your born birthright to talk basketball and to criticize what's not happening, at least not well.
How about the people that actually reach out to the players or on Twitter? And that drives me nuts.
That's a whole other class of jackwagon. These people that are at the recruits, that are at the players, that are directly mentioning families and tagging them. Just delete your account. I mean, honestly, it's everything that's awful about sports fandom. Hoosier fans are renowned for being extremely intelligent. Let's act like we know how this thing works. It's one thing to go bonkers when you get a high-level recruit. It's a whole nother level when you're sitting here atting these families and atting these kids and talking trash. If you love the program, just stay off the keyboard.
It's
Seriously.
ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. What's the next edition of Mind Your Banners or any podcast of you guys coming out?
We got one cutting here later this afternoon. Sounds like we're going to be doing it remote. Stomach bug circulating around the Osterman family, so we should have one up here later today before Zach travels to New Jersey tomorrow. Go see if the Hoosiers can turn this thing around.
Certainly will. Make sure you check that out. Mind Your Banners with Chronic Hoosier and Zach Osterman. Follow, of course, Chronic Hoosier on Twitter at Chronic Hoosier. Brother, I appreciate you. Look forward to it.
Always. Stay warm, boys.
Thank you very much. Chronic Hoosier joins us as he does each and every week. We got a lot more coming up. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier will be joining us next. We're back right after this.
You know that's my cue. I'm gonna meet the boys on bar number 2. Smoking in the boys'
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Yeah, welcome back to Indiana Sports Beats. Thanks a lot for joining us on this cold, blustery day. Joined now by our good friend Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier. Michael, how are you, sir?
Doing great, Jim. How are you doing?
Trying to warm up, man. Trying to warm up. It is just a cold, miserable day out there, and I can't wait to just put a big old coat on and snuggle with myself.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, that's about. It's got to be something. Indiana's struggling to go through. We've been talking about that quite a bit. You've written, you wrote a great piece that I talked about in regards to John Beilein after the Michigan game the other night. You actually talked to him about the start that Archie's dealing with. As for not part of the start of the games, but right now being in the beginning of his tenure at Indiana, and how Beilein started out similar, and if not really worse, because Archie had a winning season last year, at least at 16 and 15, and after, 3 years, Beilein was still with a losing record?
Yeah, he was 7 games under 500 after 3 years, which, even it wasn't that long ago. I think it was about 10, 12 years ago, but even the difference between now and then, I'm not sure he would have survived it, just because that was, just as social media was starting, there wasn't as much, day-to-day 24-hour discussion as there is now. And so he seemed like the perfect guy to ask that question. I had previously written about, a lot of different coaches that had gotten off to slow starts, like Coach K and Tony Bennett and Jay Wright. There's quite a few that if you look at their early track record, you can see that, if the school hadn't been patient, Izzo's another one. If the school hadn't been patient, the story of college basketball really would have played out entirely different. And that's not to say that, Indiana could wait 20 years and Archie could prove out to not be the guy, but, by the same token, there's a good history there for patience.
Well, especially a year and a half in. You can't do that after a year and a half. I mean, if they were he didn't forget how to coach. I keep saying that. He had success at Dayton. He was there for 7 years. He didn't job hop. So it's the people that are calling, they're saying that he's on the hot seat. I'm like, I just shake my head like, you people are ignorant. It's just mind-boggling. I understand the frustration, but my gosh, guys, it's nuts. And I saw a piece yesterday. I forget who wrote that, but it was about Krzyzewski, and it said that that they didn't know that if Krzyzewski coached today and he had started out like he did before, that he probably wouldn't be the Coach K that we know now, because after the 3 years that he started, he had a losing record, and he had the contract extension and not fire him like he thought they might. And then, of course, now they've won 5 national championships after that. But I don't know that these guys would make it in this day and age, because look how people are turning in a year and a half. Can you imagine after 3 years of having a losing record?
Yeah, and if we're sitting here a year from now and having the same conversations, it is going to start to get a little uncomfortable. I mean, I think, even reasonable people can say after 3 years, the conversation at least starts to get different. I don't know that you're even yet still talking about the hot seat, unless things are different than they are this year, which is to say that, in my mind, a reasonable person can look at this and say, yes, it is disappointing. We all expected a better season than this going in, but at the same time, it's multifaceted, right? I mean, there's so many variables that have gone into this season. Yeah, that you just have to, if you can just step back and look at it as a reasonable human being, there's just more to it than, getting upset about it, because you have to go to the water cooler and talk to your friends about how great Purdue and Kentucky are doing, which we all hate.
To me, is like road rage. People are so brave when they're in their vehicles. They flip you off, whatever. Things that they would never do if you were in a grocery store line and things like that. And to me, social media is the same way. It's this anonymous bravery that people get, the things that they say on there. It's like, whatever. But then it's either that or it amazes me. I'm like, really? Wow, you're that unintelligent about this? You really shouldn't be talking about it then. But some of the things they said, it's just mind-boggling.
That's a great analogy. I've never heard that with the road rage. That's pretty much spot on. It's we live in the internet tough guy era, and I thought about this yesterday because you and I are do some things on Facebook, and you just encounter some people that in life you would have never have encountered otherwise, and it just you're just getting into some people that probably you probably wouldn't be friends with if it weren't for social media. And it is those same road rage people that you talk about that would never say the things that they say to players or coaches, looking them in the eye. And I'm sure that's how you kind of gauge what you say on your show, and it's how I gauge what I write is, I can be critical, but at the same time, I got to think, would I say this to Archie or one of the players? And I think that's how you have to go about it.
Absolutely, and the fact that people can't look at all the unbelievable amount of variables and figure out that things are just not going as a planned. Now, part of that is not an injury. Part of that is this team is not as good as a lot of us thought they were going to be. I'll be the first to admit I thought that some of these guys were going to be producing a little bit more, i.e. Justin Smith, Evan Fitzner. But then you add in the fact that they don't have Jerome Hunter, period. They don't have Race Thompson, and they don't have Deron Davis, and they keep losing guys. I heard yesterday that at least 8 guys have missed at least one game with an injury. Most of those have missed substantially more than that. But that's 2/3 of your roster, of your scholarship players.
Yeah, and the thing about that people don't see, they see him on the bench during games, but the part that really affects, what we talked about in that Beeline article, the part that affects culture and chemistry is the fact that at practice, how many practices have they not even been able to go 5-on-5 and really just get after it with each other? I remember, if you remember, I think it was the game that, I can't remember what a game. It was before Christmas. Archie was getting ready to come into the press room to meet with the media after the game, and it was one of the games where several players went down, and he just looked exasperated and said something to the effect of, we can't even practice right now. I mean, it's been, ridiculous. Every team has injuries, we know that, but this has just been to the point of just being bizarre to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and to have that many, it just really stunts your growth. You mentioned the practice issue, so now you got guys. You don't have guys that are pushing the other guys to make them better, and obviously some of these guys don't do a good enough job of pushing themselves. So they need that competition, and not having that has not. They haven't gotten forward. And some people think that they've regressed. Well, and I know that it looks that way. I don't know that they've regressed as much as other teams have progressed so much, and Indiana's kind of stayed pat. They haven't regressed, but they haven't gotten better, which it makes it look like they've gone backwards because other teams are making adjustments. They're making adjustments against Indiana specifically on how they defend Indiana because Indiana's making it easy. Indiana's been a one-trick pony, and they're shutting that down right now, and it's having its effects. That's part of this problem, but this team leading itself is also a big part of the problem. And I know they're kind of young, but you can only take that excuse so far because you've got guys that are not young, and you're playing Division I basketball. You're on scholarship. Get up and play.
Yeah, and I think I think it's fair to say that they've regressed. The scale of it is the question, but there's 2 variables within that regression that still give me a flicker of hope. One is the fact that the regression period, the 6-game losing streak, correlates to Fennessy, either being out or still recovering from injury. I heard him say last night on Archie Miller's show that there was a period there where he was struggling to, even remember like sets on offense and defense and what he was supposed to do. So, I think there's a lot of, again, people on social media like, why is a concussion lasts this long? What's going on? That gave you a little bit of indication of what was going on there. I mean, that was clearly a serious injury if it was affecting his ability to even remember what he was supposed to do. So that's part of it. And the second part is, this isn't just any 6-game losing streak. This is 4 of 6 on the road. This is 5 of 6 against KenPom top 20 teams. So that, it's been disproportionately difficult and compounded by, especially Tennessee, but other injuries. So, while those are clearly excuses, they're also a way to say, they could turn this around. The problem is the schedule doesn't ever let up. Even Wednesday, you're going to a Rutgers team that has won 2 in a row in the same Big Ten. They're gaining confidence, and they're the team that's going to, probably more than any other team in the league, say from Michigan State, they're the team that's going to challenge the very things that give this team trouble. Physical play, toughness, things like that. So it's. If anyone's thinking, oh, finally we get a break and we get to play Rutgers, that's a big mistake.
Yeah, because you may get to play Rutgers, but as you mentioned, they were coming off of 2 wins. They beat Ohio State. You follow that up with you got Michigan State to travel to after that. You got to play them again. You got to play Purdue. No, there's nothing that gets easy here, and I'll tell you how easy it is. Illinois, one of the worst teams in the Big Ten, they just beat a very good Maryland team. So this league, as we all knew it was good, it's getting better. The league is getting better as the year is going on, and that means all the way down to the bottom. I've never seen anything like it. Virtually every team, save maybe Penn State, but Penn State isn't terrible either. The absolute worst team in the conference is not bad. But after that, man, the rest of those teams, anybody can beat you. I've never seen a conference have a year like that. That one that with 14 teams in it, that's crazy.
Yeah, and because of that, there's going to be several teams like Indiana that just, surprise you with how many games they're going to lose. Ohio State's another. And unfortunately, we don't get Penn State again, I don't believe. So you're absolutely right. I mean, the season ends with Rutgers and Illinois. So, if the way I'm thinking about it right now is, that they need to somehow get to 10 wins. They play with 6 of their last 9 at home, which home court hasn't been anything special so far in the Big Ten for Indiana. But if you're going to turn a corner, you're going to do it at home more than likely. So if somehow they can steal Wednesday night, get to 4 wins in the league, then they've got to get 6 of their last 9. That's the path to 10 wins, which in this league I think is a clear NCAA tournament bid.
Well, that's the question I was going to ask, because Joker texted in earlier that he thought if they could get to 10-10 that they would manage to get in, and I think that's a distinct possibility because I talked about earlier, a couple of the wins are aging very, very well for Indiana. The win over Marquette, a 23-point victory, that's a top 10 team now. The win over Louisville, that's a top 15 team now. So those are aging well, but India's got to do something to help themselves because they haven't thus far.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They've got those kind of wins that they never could get last year. But by the same token, that's going to be ancient history if they don't turn this thing around. I mean, maybe even a 9-11 conference season could get you in just because of how deep it is, but part of that's going to be, playing well late, having momentum going in, and it's probably also going to mean, picking up a win or two in the Big Ten tournament, which, I'm loath to ever think that Indiana could do anything in that tournament. So, I think it's going to be pretty key to try to get to 10 wins somehow, some way to feel comfortable on Selection Sunday.
Well, they've also got to get a couple of wins to keep themselves out of the bottom rung of the Big Ten tournament to start things off, because that will not make it any easier at all.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you don't want to be playing on that very first day and just have to play one more game against a team that if you lose, it's going to work against you on Selection Day. So, and they're clearly sitting right now. I don't know if they're in that first day, but they're really close to it if they're not in it.
Absolutely, Mike Schumann, thedailyhoosier.com. Check it out. Complete free content of Indiana Hoosiers. Mike, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Jim. Have a great day.
You bet, brother. We'll talk at you soon. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier joining us. Make sure you like and follow us on Facebook. Check us out there as well. So give you complete coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers. Tomorrow night, Indiana takes on Rutgers. You can catch that game right here on Big X Sports Radio. That's going to wrap it up for us today. For Justin Kalen, this is Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.